All right, you are listening to the Character Install Podcast. This podcast is powered by A Football Journey. I am your host, darrickware. As always, we are installing some character today. Just 5 minutes, one segment timer, one period to install some character. Okay, today we're talking about communication. This is a beautiful thing, and we're going to start off with a quote. The quote just says, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." It's by George Bernard Shaw. And there's nothing more true than this in coaching. Players, listen up. When you are communicating with your coach, it is best that the communication comes first from you. Let me give you an example. There was a place where I was coaching, and I witnessed this. A kid comes walking out of the locker room, and he doesn't say anything to the coach. He just hands the coach his phone. The coach grabs the phone from the kid and says, "Hello?" It is the player's mom on the phone, and she is mad. She is on her way up to the school because her son doesn't have the right equipment. Well, this is an easy problem that can easily be solved. The mom doesn't have to drive up to the school. The problem is that there was poor communication. Players, never do that. Don't just go up to your coach and hand them a cell phone that your mom is on the phone. Instead, you would go to the coach first and you'd say, "Hey, coach, I don't know where my cleats are. Did you pick up any cleats?" And then the coach can tell you and advise you from there. But just to hand someone a phone, that's never acceptable. Also, hey, if your parents have a concern and they're going to call the coach, give your coach a heads up. Go to your coach and say, "Hey, my mom is concerned about my grades, and so she might give you a call today." And a coach is really appreciative of that. "Hey, thank you. Now I know that when your mom calls, I'll have that conversation ready for her, that we can discuss that." And then also, I remember having a meeting, and the parent was adamant. "Hey, my son, it was a sub-varsity game, and we had promised the parents earlier that season, hey, all the players are going to play in sub-varsity games, because we want to develop all the players. We want all the players to get better." And so this parent came in upset. "Hey, my son didn't play in that game." And I went back and I watched the film, and the son did play. He played 27 plays. And so that parent comes in and is upset. And I said, "Look, I have the film right here. Your son did play." And he goes, "Oh, well, I didn't show up till the second half, so maybe I must have missed it." Well, the problem is that when that dad gets upset that, "Hey, son, you didn't play in the game," the son should have stood up and said, "Well, Dad, I did. I played the whole first half." That's what the son should have done. It was poor communication. And so it is vital that we all communicate with respect and honor. And this is a skill that's got to be developed. So here are a couple pointers. I got 5 pointers here for communicating with respect. Number 1, when you are talking to somebody, listen and make eye contact when people are speaking to you. Never talk to someone while you have headphones in. Did you hear that? Never talk to somebody while you have headphones in, ever. Even if it's just one earbud and you're sitting there thinking, "Well, coach, I can hear you just fine. My music is really low." That's not respectful. It's not respectful to talk to somebody while you are distracted. And you will, if you don't learn that now, you'll find yourself behind the 8 ball. So make sure that you understand that. Also, say yes, sir, and no, sir. That's a lot more respectful than just smacking your gum and saying, "Yeah." And down south, it is definitely more respectful. I'm from Texas, and yes, sir, and no, sir, and yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. That's a staple in Texas. Now, I grew up in Oregon, and we didn't do that in Oregon, but this still applies everywhere you go. A yes, sir, and a no, sir, a yes, ma'am, and a no, ma'am just shows your maturity. Also, do not interrupt people when they're talking. Let them finish. Nobody likes being interrupted. It is not respectful to interrupt. All right, and lastly, have an attitude of gratitude. Be appreciative. Say thank you to your waiter, to your teachers, to your coaches, and to your parents. Be appreciative. I'm going to leave you with this story. I had an all-state running back, incredible running back, and great kid. And the coach from Texas A&M came to visit and introduced himself to the player. said, "Hi, my name is Coach Jordan. Nice to meet you." And the player looked him in the eye and did all the things right. And then they finished their conversation, and Coach Jordan had one last question. He says, "Hey, what's my name?" And the player wasn't listening close enough that he did not remember that name. And that speaks volumes about who you are. You know, it was kind of a test that coach gave him, and that's a tough one. But he failed that test, but I'm sure he learned from it and grew. All right, you have been listening to the Character Install. This podcast is powered by A Football Journey. For more information, go to afootballjourney.com.